Um, so, okay. Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Benavides, and I'm going to present the paper Hermes, a digital assistant for coordinating invisible work in family elderly caregiving scenarios, which was my undergraduate final project. Aging in place, that is, encouraging people to live in their homes for as long as possible, is nowadays the preferred option of living for elderly and public services. However, this requires that the elderly become self-sufficient and a large number of daily activities, either independently or with the support of caregivers. Informal care provision is supported partially or fully by the members of the older adults family network, who usually struggle addressing their own lives or even are too far away from the elders. Not to mention that the elders don't want to use technology like smartphones or tablets that will give more and faster feedback about their state. Aiming to support the aging in place wish, the family creates an informal and highly cooperative care group. These roles implicitly assigned according to family hierarchy, physical and emotional distance with the elders, and other factors. These roles are assistants. They usually live with the elders, giving the care and monitoring their health. They are most responsible about the caring, managing, and coordinating the care group workload too. Monitors don't live near the elders, but they care about them, usually providing emotional care, social support, informal caring, and economical support. Helpers are passive support, frequently asked for little tasks, and they don't have a strong feel of responsibility for the caring. Finally, the outsider, who are a family member that cannot or don't want to take responsibility in the caring. The assistants must reconcile their professional and social lives, or even abandon it to fulfill their new responsibilities. Therefore, they usually feel overwhelmed or burnt by fulfilling their tasks, which seems to be invisible to the other members of his family or her family. Now, informal caregivers declare lacking time for themselves, freedom, and spontaneity in their life. And literature identifies three needs of them: social support, conversations with others in the same situation to learn and make catharsis, or simply forget their status quo for a moment, since full-time care tends to isolate the caregiver. The organization of activities related to the care process must be controlled, and caregivers often search for daily routines to better fulfill their caring. And assistants must do their best to coordinate the agendas of the care group members, professionals as medical and pro-caregivers, and their own. There are many systems aiming to support the elderly, but few that look to the caregivers or support them. So we aim to support the caregivers and their environment with these three needs through a computational solution. What Hermes must do? In order to help family members coordinate their caregiving actions and be aware of the activity conducted by others, we present Hermes, an autonomous digital assistant that helps reduce the load and tension generated by the assignment and coordination of caregiving duties. This assistant acts as intermediary that provides awareness to the participants and tries to persuade people to coordinate their activities and help address the needs of the elderly. The mobile application is specifically designed to interact with the task manager and the chatbot, both providing most of the services offered by the system and will be used by the system and monitors, and if they want, the older adults too. The helpers and health professionals use WhatsApp, and helpers receive notifications, invitation, and awareness information sent by the chatbot, and professionals just can chat with the caregivers. The main functionality provided by the backend involves the task manager and a chatbot, in addition to manage the family network. The chatbot manages the activities that are scheduled and updated by the users or the chatbot. So the system is mainly in charge of providing awareness about this task and reminders to the users. The care requirements this solution meets manage members of the caring group, manage activities as medical appointment that requires someone to accompany the older adult, reminder for tasks with periodicity, and other tasks from the caregiving process. Make services available through an external messaging application, in this case WhatsApp. Schedule, manage, and assignment handled by the system. Notifications and reminders for users to promote fulfillment of the activity timely, and a news panel as a short view of the workload of the group, and a virtual assistant as an information center and process consultation, in this case a chatbot. How does Hermes do it? The activity life cycle involves 4 stages: creation, assignment, reminding, and reporting results. Once the cycle is finished, the information is stored and used by the system to make decisions in the future. First, we choose the activity type, fetch the data, and set periodicity if needed. Then, if the activity needs a responsible, the creator can trigger the assignment cycle or commit themselves. On forward is all the system jobs and don't require the user surveillance. If the assignment cycle is triggered, the system creates 3 groups of priority, considering users playing the roles of assistants and helpers, as well as taking into account the activities assigned in the past, their absence, and proximity to the place where to perform the activity, if any. A detailed description about this workflow is available in the paper. The mobile application has few user interfaces in order to make the user interaction simple and easy. After launching the application and once the user is logged in, the system shows the main screen. This interface contains a news panel, the dialogue with the virtual assistant Hermes, and a list of private and group chats. Clicking on the Panel de Noticias news panel, the users can read messages about coordination process and results of the task. The Hermes chat is the only service that can be utilized by the user to interact with the chatbot. Users can also go to the menu view or tap the shortcut for adding elements, and these options allow the users to add new contacts, chat groups, or tasks. And in the profile, users can manage their profile data and preferences with the caregiving group, deactivate location sharing, or set their absences. How well does Hermes perform? In this evaluation, we use the Wizard of Oz method to present the Hermes system to the users, representing all interfaces needed to reflect the navigation, functions, and processes as a mid-fidelity paper prototype. And we interpret the chat logs between virtual assistant and the user as a verbal conversation. During the session, the users assume the role they interpret in their current caregiving scenarios, and we ask them to follow the thinking aloud method as a way to gather comments. The tasks involve compromise, manage contacts, and interact with them, manage activities, add feedback to them, make natural queries to the chatbot, and use free use of the app. Once the session was complete, the participants were asked to fill out a questionnaire with 20 items graded in a 5-point Likert scale. The first 10 items were focused on determining the usability of the system, and the other 10 evaluated its perceived usefulness. The first evaluation of the prototype aimed to fix usability issues with interfaces and functionalities, since the system users are very different. For the evaluation with real users, 11 families participate in this process, each composed by an assistant, an older adult, or helper. All families were taking care of an older adult or had an important past experience in this activity. Some of these families have older adults suffering from mental illness, as Alzheimer's or dementia, while others have an external person as a former caregiver. Concerning the usability of the system, assistants and helpers rated the system with high scores, showing the application is usable for them. However, it is still not easy to use for older adults. The elderly people participating in this evaluation did not use mobile applications for interacting with others, and therefore they felt the need of requiring more training for using the system comfortably. Regarding the willingness for using the application, we saw different results. Particularly, assistants will use it since they felt the system helped them manage their caregiving agenda and coordinate their other family members. In case of the helpers, they will be annoyed by using the assistant at some point. Anyway, assistants and helpers have the similar perception of the system usability, perceiving the system as comfortable, easy to use and learn, where the functionalities were properly integrated. Without aiming to generalize, the participants in our study sample considered the system fairly useful. The older adults and assistants would use it since they perceive a benefit on it. However, the helpers are not that sure since they are usually not strongly committed with the caring. Concerning the system information handling, support the life cycle, and assigning activities, all participants scored high these services and recommend to other family members the use of Hermes to coordinate the caregiving activities. Assistants and helpers think the system will be not easy to use for the older adults, mainly due to their usual cognitive impairments and reluctance to use digital technologies. However, the participating older adults wonder about it, as they showed themselves to be active and curious about the digital devices. Finally, the obtained results show that most family members were keen to the idea of interacting with the virtual assistant, praising the system as valuable asset on providing help to manage more smoothly the caregiving process and will recommend Hermes to their families. So, in short, we were talking about aging in place and informal caregiving for older adults, the caring burden and invisible work of the caregivers, needs of organization, coordination, and awareness of the collective work, and we present Hermes as an external virtual engine to support assistance. The user's opinion about Hermes are the system is rated as usable for assistants and helpers, and useful as a support for the organization and coordination of the care process. All roles wish to include the system and will recommend it to their families. The chatbot is a usable asset, a valuable asset, and there is no rejection to interact with it. The main contribution of this paper are how to design domestic system integrating virtual assistants as a way to coordinate work and cooperative teams in elderly caregiving scenarios, and a system prototype aiming to support the invisible work of the assistant, managing and coordinating the elderly caregiving skill among informal caregivers. Thank you very much. And any questions?
Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, it's a nice presentation and cover a very important topic about the support to the informal caregiver with the technologies. So, and anyone has any questions? Okay. Yeah, I think for a while. So this, Andrea, I have a question. So for the function admin support is more like providing the informal caregiver including the mental support, or to deliver the related health, caregiving information, or?
It's more like schedule tracker. When, for example, we have 3 types of activities. The most important about the well-being of the elder is the medical appointment. So when the person who accompanies the elder adult marks this task as it's done, the system asks them if there is any result or something to report to the other group members. So it's not, there is not a medical support per se,
okay,
but it's more a guide for coordinating and organizing these activities with the other members.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And another question is when you do the so the user testing is done individually, or did you consider like when they work as a team to do the investigation?
Let me go back to the workflow. Maybe I can explain better that way.
Thank you.
Oh, no, too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here it is. We I have a pointer. Okay. So we add the activity, and this part is where the task creator is involved. So, and this part is triggered by the system, and any user can decline taking the activity, snooze it, or do not respond, or take the activity. And that's announced in the news panel, so everyone knows that he is in charge of this, and setting a special reminder. When the time is come, to say it that way, the system makes a reminder to the user involved, and he says if it's ongoing, or snooze it, or if he can not do it, and that triggers an emergency cycle. Then when like an hour after the ongoing, the system asks for the feedback, and then it can be reported. But I don't know if that answers your question. It does?
Okay, yeah, I think I've got a little bit. So the target user would be the older adult or the informal caregiver, or they use the different interface?
No, the older adult is just they are integrated just so they can feel they are part of their own caring, but they're not part of the cycle of assignment. They're just the helpers and assistants.
Okay, so the helpers give is the main user of the system.
Yeah, the helpers and very deep. So we have these are this group and this group are the more active. These are the assistants, and these are the helpers who are more passive in the caring.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, yeah. Any other questions from others? If there's no more question, that let's move forward to the next presentation. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Next presenter is, I think it's Matthias.